Well, hi. Guess who it is? I'll show you right now. See, you don't even have to guess. You didn't even have to guess. I handed it to you on a blue platter. Okay, so now there's this thing I gotta do. Well, I don't have to do it. I choose to do it. I choose to do all this stuff. Nobody's making me do any of this stuff. I do it for the love of you. That's right, you. You. Even if you're watching on a replay. All right, hold on. Right now I see all the notifications flying around. People are just being informed about all of this. Crowds are gathering. Cows, too. Yeah, that's like the second or third time the cow has been referenced on this program, so I think it's about time I get some cow sound effects. Welcome to the Law of Attraction Q&A with me, Bob Doyle, featured teacher, expert. I was told to say expert by people who know. And I guess I qualify, I suppose. I don't know, you know. Look, I welcome you to this, and I welcome your active participation. I do have things I'm going to talk about today, because I'm going to follow up on our wildly critically acclaimed 5 Things You Forgot About the Law of Attraction video from the other day. And I said at that time, you know, everybody, there's more than 5. I'm just going to go over 5 today. And maybe I'll do 5 again another day. And here we are, doing another 5 things that you may be forgetting about the Law of Attraction. But before, hi, Tommy is here, and Kathy is here. People are sharing this video, which is a very nice thing to do. I'll bet you when you share this, you feel good inside. And I'll bet you, I can tell you a way to amp up that feeling of good. Would you like to know what it is? Write a little something along with your share. You know, you see things shared on people's on your timeline all the time, or whatever. You know, you gotta sell it. So if you care about humanity, and not just yourself, you'll share this with a message. That probably wasn't very enrolling, was it? And if this is your first time watching me, well, it was nice knowing you. No, I hope you'll stick around. Omar, hi. See, you're a slightly new-sounding name. Not that anybody's keeping score, but I am, in fact, drinking caffeinated coffee at 4:36 p.m. in the afternoon, Pacific time. I'm rationalizing it because it's Friday, right? So who needs to go to sleep early on a Friday night? Not me. Hi, Steve. Steve has joined us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now is about the time when I can start bringing you into this conversation. Wait, that's not the right one. That's something else. So, hi. Before we start on the 5 other things that you have probably forgotten about the Law of Attraction, I have to find the piece of paper where I wrote them down. I could go by memory. I'm actually referring to the question that I'm going to address first. A few days ago, I got this question from someone. It's a Law of Attraction related question. I promised that I would... Kathy. Thank you, Jeff. You'll see Kathy's comment in a moment. There, see, coffee bad for you. It makes my heart smile. So she asked this question, and it's I wouldn't say it's like a common question, but it does get asked. I don't want to say commonly, but every so often, and it may apply to you. And it's not, and because it's not common, you may not immediately think it applies to you. But I would invite you to think about whether or not this applies to you, shall we? So basically, the gist of the question, and I won't read it word for word, but the gist of the question was that she's doing positive things, she's thinking right, she's visualizing, and she's even getting good results with this stuff in her life. But for some reason, when she sees or hears about somebody else succeeding, it disheartens her. Like if she sees it on Facebook, some of her friends maybe, or whatever, maybe not even friends, just people. She sees people succeeding and getting everything they want. For some reason, it is triggering a sort of downer response. She starts to second guess herself and not feel good about herself as she did before, even though she was already getting results. So I'm wondering just, I mean, we've just got a small sampling of people here, but you can reply in the comments even if you're watching the replay. How many people might that apply to? When you're feeling pretty good and then you see somebody else doing better and you actually start to second guess yourself. Anyone? And basically she's asking, how do you avoid this? Well, it's really about perspective, right? I had this really cool idea a little while ago that would have just taken too long to pull together technically. I was going to get into virtual reality in Google Earth, and I was going to focus in on one house. And I'm going to say, in like a populated neighborhood, one house, and say, okay, the person in that house has this great idea, this thing that they do. And let's say that they serve, and then I'll zoom out. Because, see, there's a lot of people in the world. That's the point. And I can really illustrate that in virtual reality. Basically zoom out and say, look at all this, and just show a mass of houses and stuff. If that one person only served those people, they'd do great. Just those people, that one little block, that if everybody represented in this neighborhood, and then you keep zooming out and you keep zooming out on these areas, and you realize there is enough room for everybody to do what they are here to do. There's enough people out there who will be attracted to uniquely what you do and how you do it. It doesn't matter that there are other people doing what you do or just succeeding in general. There's enough success to be had by everybody, because there's 7 billion people out there in the world, and we all like these weird, strange things. And if you've got a weird, strange thing that you're putting out there, awesome. Keep putting it out there. And then people will discover that, be attracted to it, respond to it, and you'll have your tribe. I want to fix something here just real quick, because this is the Law of Attraction show, not the Bob Doyle show. So next time that cycles around, it's going to be proper. And I apologize. I want to apologize to each and every one of you for that shoddy production. Boy, am I going to have a production meeting with myself after this is over. How many times have we had this conversation? But there's other things that could be at play if you have that. You may have a belief that there is only enough for a certain amount of people. Like there's only enough room in a certain space for a certain number of people. And if you see somebody else succeeding, you go, oh, well, I guess I can't succeed to that level because they're already there, or some other twisted sort of form of that. So Steve says that doesn't happen to me much because I've learned not to compare myself with others. And Steve is a creator. He's a musician. Boy, you better get there. But it's hard. Steve will tell you, I'm sure, that all the creative space is filled with people who compare themselves with others. Is my art as good? Is my music as good? Is my performance as good? Do I act as well? Do I write as well? Do I direct as well? Do I paint as well? Do I draw as well? You know, do I dance as well as so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so who are on TV or in the paper or made this amount of money or whatever, right? It's this constant comparing. And we forget that all of those people we're comparing ourselves with, this is something else Actually, that's not exactly true. This dovetails into step number 5. How perfect. So I'll just make it number 1. Here's a number 1 in no particular order of importance or significance, but I'm moving this one from the bottom of the list because we talked right into it. Everybody's pace with the law of attraction is going to be different. Hey, Perry the Crow, long time. I got to get that back in my shot. Everybody's pace is going to be different because every single one of us has such a unique, rich history of life and beliefs and emotional journeys that we've been through. Our vibration is so unique. So even though we may be sharing a similar path from a macro level, oh, we all want to be a singer, or we all want to be a writer, or we all want to be an actress, or we all want to be a successful, entrepreneur. You can't just look at one other person and go, mine's going to unfold just the way theirs is if I do the same things. I'm sorry. I know that modeling thing is good. It's a start. You look at a successful person and you model what they do, and then you'll succeed. That's good up to a point. But the thing is, there's stuff about doing and being that is invisible. There are certain things that certain successful people do that we'll never see. It has to do with their vibration. It has to do with their beliefs. It has to do with their vision. Subtle little things. They're not like step by step by step. So, we just have to understand that we've got our vision, and as long as we stay focused on what we want that vision to make us feel like, we're going to get there at the perfect pace for us. We all have different levels of resistance that causes the slowdowns. And the worst thing we can do is to look at somebody else and go, oh, they're faster than us, and make that mean something bad about us. We have no idea about their journey. We don't know what they're going through on the inside, and their success from the outside looking in may not feel so good to them. We don't know. We don't know. So what we want is a full, not just what success looks like on the outside, but also what it truly feels like on the inside. And not what you see them portraying in newspapers and videos and what on the outside. True success on the inside out. Not just because they've made a certain amount of money or they've had success on the outside to a certain degree, but because they've reached this point in their life that this is the feeling I want. Yes, abundance, freedom, respect, whatever it is. And it happens to show up this way. But there are people who show up as very successful and wealthy and abundant and all those things who are suffering inside. You don't want to be them, and you might be comparing yourself to one of them and not even know it. So best just to keep your mind on your own vision and know that you'll get there as fast as you will allow yourself to. That's right. You allow yourself to. Hi, Jody. You snuck in, I didn't see. There's always something better, Steve says. Isn't that interesting? Because that's part of number 2. Right here. You can't see it. You'll just have to believe me. So this whole thing about comparing yourself with others, and here's when we do our group coaching. Oh, how many minutes in before I actually mentioned it? In our group coaching, obviously you're in an environment where you can see the progress of others or their slowdowns. So it's a real test case for you to test this idea of comparing yourself when you're going on a law of attraction journey. Because when you come into the group coaching program, we're all different. We're all in different places in our path, right? We don't know how far along one other person is to the end or the other. So a person could come in to the program and truly just need a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a tweak, and then they hit some major milestone, whereas another person might come into the program starting from ground zero with tons of resistance, haven't done any work on it so far, barely know what their vision is, and then see this other person get success and go, oh, it's not working for me. Right? No. And so that's the great thing about being in the coaching group is we tell you, we give you that assurance that this isn't about you doing something wrong. It's just about this you are where you are. And you've got a journey to go on just like this person did and has been doing. Right? So, all of these things we talk about are useless to you if you're not putting them into practice every day. Every day. Every day. If you're not putting them into, if you're not integrating them into your life, if you don't have a system of support, if you don't know what you're doing, basically, then of course, you're going to be all over the place with results, and be prone to things like comparing your progress with other people and making it mean something, if you're not getting that progress you want. And that's what stops a lot of people on their journey or makes them lose hope. And we don't have to do that. You can come into our program, our little hug fest, where we put this stuff into action. Okay, so let me go on now to number 2. Now we're all over the place with the order. So now this will become number 5. This is now number 2, and this one's been different. Everybody clear that it's going to be different and that you're not to be comparing with one another? Hi, Peter. I'm going to say that again. Hi, Peter. That's very nice of you to say. That's right. I am your inner voice. It's too bad it's a little congested right now. But that's how you know what I'm saying is right for you. If it feels good to you, then there's a message for you here. Look, there's no way there's no way that anyone telling you that you being the best version of you, there's no way that that's not the right message for you to hear, okay? So let's get on to what Steve actually said was there's always something better. And so I don't know exactly what he meant. Doesn't matter. I'm going to use it to say this. Now, you have probably heard this many times, when you're learning about the law of attraction and stating your intentions and putting your vision out there and all of that other stuff. This whole, I am so sorry. It's probably the milk in the cappuccino. This or something better, right? It's like, ideally, you want to hold, you've got your vision and it's got all the stuff in it. It's got what it looks like, right? It's got all the elements. It's got the person. It's got the house. It's got the money. It's got the car, whatever it is, right? Your scenario. You're helping people. Your vision. You know what I'm talking about. And you have this vision, and you're holding this vision because it makes you feel a very certain way. All of the things all the juice you want to feel, the love and the fulfillment and the abundance and all of that stuff. That's why we have this vision. It generates that emotion, and then that emotion is your vibration, and it attracts the situation, circumstances, people, blah, 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 to bring you that experience, that emotional experience. It may look exactly like the vision you created, or it may look something totally different, but you get to the same feeling place. And that's what we talk about, not attaching to it having to be like that. What you're telling the universe is, I want to feel this way. I'm using this vision as a tool to generate this feeling so that you'll know what I want to experience in my everyday reality. And then the universe responds, immediately starts moving energy into motion, starts communicating with you through your intuition to tell you the action steps to take to get you to that space where you will be in alignment with that emotional feeling, and you'll have what you want, even though it may look different from the outside. So the idea is, you've got this feeling and you've got the intention, this is what I'm feeling, this or even better. Because right now, you're trying to feel, ideally, you're trying to generate the best feeling you can possibly feel. And right now, the truth of the matter is, you've probably got a governor on that. There's probably a high end of how good you'll let yourself feel right now. As good as it might feel, there's room for more. So allowing that room for this or something better, like, oh, I'd like to feel this or even better if it's possible. Right? Leaving that open for possibility, but then again, when you say that, you have to be ready to be flexible, to be able to go with what the universe gives you, and then detach from the way that you thought that it needed to be. Oh, I say, Steve said, right, there's no place in comparing to other people because there's always someone in a better place or a worse place. That, and also better, worse, all totally subjective. All totally subjective. I don't care if 999 people out of 1,000 agree on one thing being good or bad. It's still subjective. And the thing isn't what they say it is. The thing is what it is. And it'll be perceived by the right people the right way. And that's what art is about. Okay, this or something better. So remember to build that in. Don't forget. I just wanted to remind you. You've heard it, but I wanted to remind you and also give you a framework for why that's important. Remembering that it's about the feeling that we're going to get and detaching from the details of the thing. But that vision should inspire you. It should bring you there. And remember, you're moving that vision, lest ye not lose heart. I don't know if that works. Because I'm saying, well, it may not show up that way. And you go, well, I kind of want that. The universe is going to respond to this unique vibrational fingerprint, if you will, that you've sent out. So it's very likely that there will certainly be elements of the vision you've created as part of your reality to bring you that feeling, because that would be the universe's possibly one of the most efficient ways to bring you that feeling. But there may be more efficient ways. There may be something else. And so you just leave yourself open for that. Tommy says there's no shortage of money because more is printed every day. Don't get me started. Now you're opening up the digital currency conversation. That's for definitely another time. Okay. I've got a few more. Shall I continue? Okay. So the next one, number 3. Now I'm going to say this one, and then I have to kind of backpedal just a little, just so you'll know what I mean. And here it is. And we forget this. That's why it's on this list. The universe is smarter than we are. Now, here's my immediate backpedal. We're part of the universe. So, we're smart too. Okay. But we've cut off access to all of that intelligence. And maybe some of that is by design. We're not supposed to actually know everything, but we do have access to that knowledge. Our brains, who knows how much that'll really hold if we allowed it. It doesn't matter. We have access to it all. We're connected to it all. Our intuition can feed us whatever intelligence and information we need if we let it come in. But we have, the way that we operate as humans is we've got the experience and knowledge that we have, that we've earned, that we feel that we've earned. We learned it from experience. We learned it in school. These are the things we know from the experience of our life. And for many of us, that's the only place we draw, that we tap into resources for solutions for problems. Or to create a vision or whatever. We only look back at this, what we know and what our experiences are and how our beliefs have been shaped by that. Well, that's not all the information. And guess what? If you are struggling if you're struggling with changing your lot in life, your position in life, by using all this information in here, all of your intelligence and your degrees and all of those things, and it's not working, guess what? It's time to get out of this and open yourself up to allow information from this incredibly intelligent creative force that created not just us, but everything and all the systems that make it work. We get back to the holy crap, it's a miracle, meaning everything, all that is. And for us to start doubting our abilities to achieve a certain goal is just silly. Look at the universe and what is going on. We'll never be able to sell a record. Okay. We are one of the most incredible creations in the universe just simply because of our consciousness and intelligence and our ability to create a life by design and all of these things. And yet we are arguing for our limitations, which is number 4. We just moved right into number 4 from number 3. Because but let me finish up number 3 real quick about this whole universe is smarter than we are. If you find yourself stuck, I just can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. Right, then stop trying. Your job is not to figure all that crap out, especially if it's really hard for you. Some people like figuring things out. They thrive on it. It's part of who they are. And the universe is just fine with giving them opportunities to figure that out and feel all clever and live their life that way. That's fine. But if you struggle over problem solving, it's because you're stuck right here and you're forgetting that you have access to solutions galore. And it starts with being very clear on where you're going, where this issue is not existent. It's not a part of it. So it's not about focusing on throwing lasers at this problem because you're just putting more and more energy on it. If you want to find a solution, let the universe give it to you by creating a vision, creating a vibration where this problem doesn't exist. And then the universe will tell you what to do to move into alignment with it. That's how it works. Now you see a little dance move like that. I know what you're thinking. How do I get into a group coaching environment with that dude? Well, there's a couple of ways. You can get more information by typing group info into the comments section of this very broadcast that you're watching, as long as you're watching on Facebook. Some of you may be seeing this on a replay on YouTube or on a Q&A replay page, in which case there's a button underneath the video and you can basically, find out more information. Or you can just cut to the freaking chase and go to boundlessliving.com/group coaching and get yourself enrolled. Bob, why? Why would I want to do this? Why wouldn't you? Because here's the deal. If you're serious about the law of attraction, which, look, you need to decide that. That's really important. Because the law of attraction is not a tire-kicking thing. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You need to decide. I'm into learning this. and I'm going to commit to learning it, and I'm not going to stop until I learn it. And speaking of cryptocurrency and digital, that's where I am right now with that. I know very little about it, just like I did with the law of attraction at first, but I'm 100% committed to learning it, which means that I may have to do some things that are uncomfortable. It means I may have to spend more time on it than I want to. It may mean I need to invest in myself financially or whatever. You know, it's definitely going to mean moving out of some kind of comfort zone because I'm asking for a change in my life. And so, you know, when I started this journey, there really wasn't that much information out there about the law of attraction, creating your reality. Abraham was out there, but I had not, you know, floated into that world yet. And I was looking for, and besides, my mind, I would need a little bit of time before I could leap to a channeling thing, right? I needed a little more science before I could accept the whole Abraham thing in general, right? So I had to take first steps first. So I had to get taught. I had to get information. I had to get, and I had to gather all of that myself over the course of years. And now I've been working with people for 15 years on this stuff. And I've done it in a million different ways. And I know now for sure that the group coaching is the best way to get a person in very strong momentum towards where they're going, because we lay that foundation of what the law of attraction is and isn't, the real science of it. Because my God, if you're chasing a fantasy, if you're facing some sort of magic trick or chasing some sort of magic trick that you've heard about, you're going to be very frustrated. But the great thing is it occurs just as magically when you know the science of it. But it's important that your brain is in the right space when you approach this stuff. You know, it can be a really delightful, magical feeling experience. It really is. And life can be that way, especially if you define it. If you want your life to feel magical and all of that, guess what? You can create that. But you first have to understand, if you're struggling with it, well, how will I do that and how will it work? It's not enough just to get a step-by-step from some program or whatever, right? Because a lot of people have tried that. You need the experience of living this stuff. And you need the experience of somebody who knows what they're talking about, who can guide you through it. And you need the experience and the support of other people going through the same journey. Because so many times, like, we go through this stuff alone. Okay, that's the fifth point. I'm jumping to the fifth point. Just now, I thought I had my baseball cap on. That's what that was. You actually saw me grab for a phantom hat. How about that? Jane, I'm sorry. Everyone else says I'm doing okay. Hold on. Boundless Living, that was mistyped. I think Dawn typed in boundlessliving.com/GrewYouCoaching. So we need to change that link because that's not how you spell group. But here's the thing. We start on Saturday the 23rd. The way it works, just briefly, and I'm going to get back to the next 2 points, and then I'll wrap this up. But the way it works is we have a live session on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock Pacific time that are live, where I'll basically lecture on a topic. But it's just like this. It's just like this. You can ask questions all along the way. It's very interactive. But if you miss it, it's no big deal because we got people from all over the world on this thing. So it's not going to line up for everybody. But we did have people waking up at 2 and 3 in the morning to do it. But you can always watch the replay the next day. And I'm always constantly coaching with videos and posts all throughout between the sessions the entire 90 days. Guys, that's a long time because you got the first 30 days to figure out what you're doing and form new habits, and then another 60 days to live it and ride the ride with support. And I can promise you that the people who have done this with me for 30 days before know that, yes, they're on a great big high at the end of the 30 days. They've got a trajectory, but life will still occur. And everything is cyclical, and you may face it down, and without that support. Now, luckily, I've always left the groups open. When I've done these groups, they're always open. I'm not in there every day, but they can still communicate with each other, and they have been, which is key for you to know. If you haven't done this before, these aren't just little pods of people who come together for 30 days and then disperse and never talk to each other again. These are relationships that are going on to this day, you know, from our very first 30-day groups, because, you know, we shared such a ride, such an experience every single time we do this. And now we're going to do 90 days. This is 90 days of results and moving through comfort zones and hot seat coaching and all sorts of stuff that you literally would pay thousands of dollars for with other coaching organizations and all of this, and you'd still be paying for a coach who was trained by the person. And in this one, it is me with you. Okay? And like I say, I've got certified coaches, and they could do this, but I'm choosing to do these 90-day things because I know from the experience of the people that we've been having, doing, that this is the best work. And I've done a lot of work in this world. The Wealth Beyond Reason program and all the other little programs and all the stuff, everything I've done in this space, this is, I know, the most valuable contribution I can and have made in this space because I'm working with real people on their real things. It's not digital. It's not hypothetical. It's not, leaving it on their own to do it. Because if you get stopped, what happens? If it gets hard, what happens? Right, and we're committed to that. There's no stopping. There's no hiding. There's no, I'm just not doing this. There's none of that. It's a commitment. And because of that, because everybody's doing it, even when they're uncomfortable and they reach a new level of comfort, when they see those results, it's freaking amazing. Steve, am I right? Steve says I might have to do it again just because of how fun it is. Jody's done it. Jody says, how's late coffee working for you? Are you hearing colors? It's possible. Right now I'm burning up because I turned off the fan. It's summer here in Marina Del Rey, and even though it's not like summers in Atlanta or other places, it's still a little warm. Anyway, enrollment is open. We have payment plans. If you are in the U.S., and you have PayPal, you could maybe even apply for PayPal credit and not pay for this at all for 6 months. So again, don't let the money thing stop you. So, smarter. So let me think. I guess there's 2 more things. It's gotten all discombobulated from moving that one at the beginning. But here's the thing, and I kind of touched on it. And this is so many people guilty of this, but we argue for our limitations, right? So what happens when we argue for our limitations, right? We all know this. When we argue for our limitations, you just make them truer. They're more, that you strengthen them. And from a law of attraction point of view, that should be very obvious why we do it. And the thing is that our ego is justifying us telling our same sad story because, well, that's just what's true, right? And so the ego doesn't want to. That whole affirmation thing really irritates the ego because you're lying to yourself, right? But if you argue constantly about why I can't do this because I don't have the money or I don't have to do this, I'm not talking about the group coaching, but anything in your life, but the group coaching applies. Here's all the reasons I can't do this for myself. You're just adding energy to the truth of that so that in the future, when more opportunities come up for you, you will have the truth of those limitations because you keep feeding them energy. And you have to understand that energy, it becomes matter, it becomes the physical thing. So if you keep arguing for your limitations, you're just going to strengthen them and have them more. However, a slight tweak on that, being able to be observant, getting clear on your perception of your limitations is gold. I'm going to say that again. When you can become clear on your perception of your limitations, that's gold. Because if you can, it's basically detachment. You go, oh, when you perceive, I'm really clear, I have this limiting thought that I am arguing for. I have this. And when you can detach from it, from the truth of it, and just go, up there it is, and just observe it as this thing, as this thought pattern of this, it's truly a program that's just running. Just a program about limitation about this thing that started, that got programmed some time ago and has just kept on running. And the more that you argue for it, the program becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. But it's still just a program. All your your perceived limitations, most of them are just nonsense programs. And all it takes is a different form of action, which is driven by a different vision. You got to see yourself being a different way. What would it look like? This is key sentence. What would it look like if you weren't ruled by that limitation? So the next time you find yourself going, oh, I just can't do that because of whatever, just imagine what would it look like if you were a person who didn't respond like that, who didn't think that way, who instead looked for possibility, who saw the truth of much more possibility than we think of when we do that knee-jerk reaction about our limitations simply because we've been telling ourselves the same story for years. It's automatic. Oh, I know I can't do that because blah. But the truth of it is, you could, if you stopped and thought, wait a minute, and clearly perceive, I have this limiting belief. Now you can use all sorts of different tools or techniques to deal with that, like EFT and all the others that we talk about in the group coaching program. So Tommy says the power of self-story, good and bad. Right, it's whatever you say. It's whatever you say. And I'm telling you, I run up against it. It's one of the most pervasive things in the group coaching is people hanging on to their story, even though they know better. But it just seems so logical. The ego has got this one down. I'm just a negative person. I'm just a negative. I'm sorry, I'm just a negative person. I'm trying to deal with it, but I'm just a negative. And every time they say it, even if it's in the form of an apology or an explanation, every time they say it, the ego goes, ah, yes, yes, yes. It just, and it's not easy to stop saying it because it feels like the right thing to do. It feels like the right, like you're telling the truth, like you're justifying, like you're explaining, like you're rationalizing. And that's how it works. The ego makes you feel like, yep, this is the right thing to do. And yet somehow you always feel dissatisfied, don't you, after you tell your story? You don't feel any better, do you? Nope. You're not any closer to your vision, are you? Nope. Steve says, recognizing that we're doing it first. People are so pre-programmed to say things out loud that they're limiting. Absolutely. Pretty much what I just said. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. I think I did this correctly. And if I haven't made this clear by this time, I don't know, but people do forget it. They watch The Secret, they read the book, they hear about the law of attraction, and they think they're a one-man wizard show. And that's how it's supposed to be. And if you can't figure out how to manifest this all by yourself, then you failed. I don't get it. It's not for me. My vision must not be for me. I'm broken. Why don't I get it? I'm trying everything. Da-da-da-da-da. When you're going through this journey by yourself and you don't reach out for help, if you don't have the support from other actual people, not just a book that you're reading or a program you're taking, then you can only reference your own experience and your own beliefs and your own knowledge about what's true. And there's only so much growth you can have. Plus, if you've got a big vision that involves the accomplishment of things that you don't know how to do, well, how else will those things be done if you don't enroll others to do them? You're not going to learn how to do all of these things necessarily. Some of us like to try. Guilty. But the idea is that you stand for your vision. And then in the being of that stand, through who you're being, the action you're taking, sharing it with people, putting it out there in the world, you will then attract other people who are in perfect alignment with your vision and making it happen, and whatever you're vibrating at that time. Which is why you want to be clear about, you want to build all aspects of this. Like you want, when you build your vision and you build in the relationships with people you're going to have to make this happen, like trusting people who you just absolutely love. You know, really don't just think I need an attorney and I need a so-and-so and I need a this. Build in, who are these people? Who are these people? Why do you love working with them? I don't mean their name, right? But what is the essence of these people? What is the feeling you want to have with all of these people who are going to support you in your vision? Right? But you need to build in those people, and or at least, at the very least, you need to understand that you're not in charge of doing this all by yourself. And again, this is another reason why getting people into the group coaching is great, because they're already in another environment. By default, they're learning how to do this stuff with the help of other people and the support of other people. You'll come in here, let's just say hypothetically that you take action on this and you get in here and you go through your little discomfort and you go, I can't believe I'm doing this. Why? I've got these other bills. Oh, the holidays are coming. Okay, I'll just do it. Boom. The moment you do it, your ego goes, oh no, and it's shaken up. Now you're taking on something. And then you're going to go into the Facebook group, which is the first thing you do once you enroll. And you're going to see that there's already people there. They're already introducing themselves. And you're going to feel the transformation already, because you will have taken a step into a different level of commitment, one that is not about, I'm going to stay right here where I am. I'm at least going to draw some kind of line in the sand so that 2018 can truly be the beginning of a new journey. And I've got 3 months to define it, to fine-tune it, to work through the resistance, to get the support, to meet the people. I've got 90 days, actually more if you jump in now, 90 days to just get so much freaking momentum into 2018 that I'll be unstoppable. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I think it sounds darn good. I invite you to step into this good feeling by talking like this for the rest of the day. I challenge you to take that on, starting right now. Turn to the person you're with and say, hello, how are you? That's an easy thing to say. If you're not with anyone, look in the mirror right now and say, hello, beautiful, you are awesome. And you can believe me because I'm talking like this. And this, most trustworthy voice you'll ever hear in your life. Okay, well, I clearly needed to do that for some reason. Oh, that's not the right music. I'm pushing buttons like crazy. Okay, so those were 5 more things. It's not about going it alone. This or something better. The universe is smarter than we are. Arguing for your limitations will only strengthen them, but getting clear on your perception of them is useful. And everybody's pace on this is going to be different. Look at that. I read them back to you in a completely different order than I gave them to you. That's what makes this show incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you. Again, if you don't want to jump right to this page and go to group coaching, you can just type group info in the comments below and I'll send you a little something. Tell you a little bit more about it, but I think I pretty much just told you. You know already if this is where you are in your life. So come on in. The water is not only fine, it is exceptional.